Welcome back everybody, I hope you're having a great day today. I'm ready for today's episode and so is Pineapple Toy. It's gonna be an adventure and let me know in the comments if you enjoy. And story number 1, am I the gay hoe for telling my parents they deserve to be kicked out of my sister's wedding? I'm using a throwaway account as my brother's on Reddit and I don't want him knowing my real account name. So my 37 female brother Mike 35 male is a knob. Always has been and always will be. He's been babied to the point of uselessness by my mum and dad and that's made him an entitled slob. When he was younger, he showed promise playing rugby, which had my mum and dad believing that he was going to be a superstar. The problem was, though, that he never had the work ethic to fully fulfill his potential. However, this meant that he was the golden boy of the family and he could do no wrong in my parents' eyes. He was a bully at school, which they brushed off as other kids making up lies, but he was an even bigger bully at home to our younger sister Kelly, 31 female. He would constantly prank her, which basically meant that he would do anything he could to embarrass her, including like pulling her dress up in front of the whole family at a wedding when she was 15. Mum and dad just said that it was siblings being siblings, but the rest of the family were mortified by his behaviour. I did try and stick up for my sister and it worked to a certain extent, but after I went away to uni there wasn't much I could do, as mum and dad just don't listen to anybody. It got so bad that when she was 18 my sister gave up going to her dream university, St Andrews, and instead moved to London to go to the Imperial College London. This was a huge shock to us all as she'd been talking about St Andrews since she started high school at 11. When I asked why, she said that St Andrews was too close to home and she would be expected to go back home more often, but if she went to London, she would only have to go home for Christmas. This broke my heart, and after she left she did exactly that. The only time she was home was at Christmas and when I got married. This really annoyed mum and dad as they said that she was abandoning the family. I kept my mouth shut and I let them whine occasionally as I didn't want an argument. After graduating from uni my parents expected her to move back home, but she didn't. She got a job working in southern England and she stayed down there. We're from Scotland for reference. 6 years ago she met a great guy, Jake, 30 male. The day that she met him she called me gushing about him, and I've never heard her speak about anybody the way that she does about him. I've met him several times when I've gone to visit her and he's great. Good looking, funny, great job, his family are lovely, and most importantly, he treats Kelly like she hung the moon. It's very cute. After she met him she cut down how much she came home even more, as she spent the first Christmas with his family, and then the pandemic happened so she ended up not coming home for 3 years. Her first Christmas home Mike started his usual bullshit, trying to be the center of attention. When it didn't work out as well as he wanted, as most of the family were more interested in getting to know Jake, he then tried to prank Kelly. He got a big bowl of water and was gonna pour it over her. Jake saw what was happening and stepped in front of Kelly, telling Mike to not even think about it. Side note, Jake's 6'3" and has been doing martial arts since he was 4, so he can be very intimidating when needed. Mum and dad tried to play it off as a harmless prank, but Jake was having none of it. Mike started whining about it being just a prank, and Jake told him that if he pranked Kelly one more time, he would prank him by putting his foot up his ass and his fist down his throat. Kelly and Jake left about an hour after, but after that Mike, mum and dad all had an issue with Jake. Kelly hasn't been back home since. That leads us to now. Kelly and Jake are getting married. They sent out invites in February for August, however they didn't invite Mike. Mum and dad are obviously incensed by this and had a huge argument with Kelly. They threatened not to go and Kelly just said no problem. She would get granddad to walk her down the aisle. I went around to their house on Saturday with my kids. Immediately my mum started complaining about Kelly and the wedding. I sat and I listened for a while before I'd had enough. I asked her what did she actually expect. Her and dad have allowed Mike to be the golden child and get away with everything. Because of that, he can't keep a relationship due to him thinking everybody should do everything for him. He can't hold down a job because every job is beneath him, and he's still living at home with zero prospects in life. The man-child's a bully who I don't trust to be around my children unsupervised. He bullied Kelly for most of her teen years and her only escape was to move over 400 miles away and never come home. My mum got very quiet and then asked me to leave. A few hours later my dad called me going mad because I'd upset my mum and I was taking the side of an ungrateful little girl instead of my parents who gave me everything. This started a huge argument between me and him where I told him that he'd been a crap of a dad to Kelly and didn't deserve to walk her down the aisle. I've had enough, but now I've got extended family members telling me that I've gone too far as my mum is barely speaking to anybody and keeps on crying. My granddad said it was about time I told him off, but my grandma is upset by all the arguing. So am I the a-hole for telling my parents that they sucked as parents and that they deserve to be kicked out of my sister's wedding? No, you're not the a-hole, OP, and the truth hurts. hurts, which is probably why your mum's been so upset. Your mum probably knows that you're right. Yeah, and the top comment, not the a-hole, it sounds like they kicked themselves out. The second top comment, not the a-hole, if they can't stand the truth, they need to hibernate. I vote grandpa walks her down the aisle regardless of who attends. Yeah, what'd the grandpa say? My granddad said that it was about time that I told them off. Such a legend. Yeah, like this comment says, the truth, it turns out, hurts. Or in this case, is at least embarrassing enough to require crying and play acting to get the attention back onto your parents and poor old Golden Mike. I hope for your sister's sake that they don't go to the wedding. Not the a-hole, you're a good sister. And this comment says, tell Kelly to high security as parents and Mike may try to crash the wedding. Good for you for saying what needed to be said a long time ago. Not the a-hole. Yeah, what a sad situation. But no, it's not your fault, OP, and what you told your parents is completely right. There are comments saying it too, but as parents, they failed Mike and Kelly, and of course there are consequences. Mike turned into an entitled brat, and Kelly wants nothing to do with them. Very understandably. And post number 2, am I the a-hole for laughing at my ex-husband's wife when she called me hysterically because my kids didn't choose to go to Disney with them on Mother's Day? My ex-husband and I, both 40, share a 16-year-old son, 15-year-old daughter, and a 14-year-old son together. We separated when I was pregnant with our 14-year-old, and we officially divorced when he was 1. We have a very detailed court-ordered parenting and custody agreement that I've always followed to the T. This is to avoid adding conflict to an already higher conflict situation. For those who were going to ask, my ex-husband's wife was not the reason that we broke up. He did cheat on me during my 3rd pregnancy, and this was due to it being a high-risk pregnancy where I couldn't engage in any sexual activity with him. He felt that was a good reason to sleep with others. I did not, and he always believed that I was unfair to him. Pineapple Toy cannot believe the audacity. Yet he did go through a paternity drama with one of the women that he slept with during that time. He was proven not to be the father, but he expected me to be okay with him having unprotected sex with somebody else. All of this has made it difficult for us to co-parent. It's why we need everything spelled out and why we communicate via parenting apps. Our youngest has a medical issue, so texting and calling is sometimes a requirement. My ex-husband remarried 4 years after our divorce was finalized. From the beginning of their relationship, there were issues with his wife and our children. His wife was all over the place with our kids and appeared to take her fertility troubles out on our children by being short and snapping at them or making them feel like a problem in the home. Yet she also wanted them to call her mum, and she wanted them to spend more time with her. There were times we returned to court over the issues in my ex's home. My ex tried to paint it like it was me alienating the kids from the wife, but he and his wife got 3 warnings for the very thing that he accused me of. The judge said repeatedly encouraging children to call a person other than their parents' mum or dad was suggesting alienation of some kind. The warnings were spaced out enough that no consequences were ever given as a result. My ex and his wife were ordered to take parenting classes several years ago also. I always encourage my kids to not be cruel to the woman their dad's married to, but they don't like her and they don't respect her. They show her some respect, but they don't actually have any for her. My older son and my daughter have particularly had some encounters with her where they lost respect for her. They were in therapy for many years because of the burden that this woman's infertility and IVF struggles were shared with them, and done so in a way that was meant to coerce them to give her what she wanted. The therapists were godsends to us during that time. Last year, all 3 of my children were deemed old enough to decide whether they saw their father 50-50, as they had previously, or whether 1 weekend a month would be the new parenting time split. All 3 chose to reduce their time to 1 weekend a month. This was something my ex and his new wife didn't like, and they tried to fight, but the kids say was given more weight. Jin's here, everybody. He is so cute. My ex and his wife did eventually have 2 children together. Yesterday, they decided to go to Disney with the kids to celebrate Mother's Day. My ex called and asked me to let our kids come. I gave my kids the choice and they answered never. I already expected that, but I didn't want to deny them the chance if they wanted to. My ex was furious, but I ended the second call and I ignored further text from him. Then I got a call from an unknown number around 3 p.m. and it was his wife. She was hysterically crying down the phone about my kids not being there and how they were supposed to be there because they're her kids too. I laughed at her antics and I ended the call. I got around a dozen texts in the next 2 hours, and then my ex texted me last night and this morning telling me that I was heartless and suggesting that I should appreciate that his wife loves our kids this much. My issue was never her being good to them. It was the way that she treated them. The hot and the cold, the demands and expectations and attempts to guilt trip them. It's the way that she acted like she had as much of a right to be their mum as I did. And all because at the time she had no kids and had fertility trouble. It's the way that she made my ex's home hell for my kids. My ex allowing it is not something that I've forgotten either. But I think it's crazy to think that I should be grateful for any of this. this, but maybe I'm being an a-hole. So I'll ask the people of Reddit, am I the a-hole? No, not the a-hole, OP, like this comment says. Not the a-hole, your kids made their choice. Her feelings aren't your responsibility. You have to earn respect, not force it. You can never really force respect, but especially with teenagers. Sounds like she just showed one of the reasons the kids don't take a shine to her. And the top comment, not the a-hole. You took the hit so that your kids didn't have to. I'm so sorry for your kids. They shouldn't have to deal with adults who behave like that. I'm sorry that you also have to deal with them. And the comment below that says, not the a-hole. Your children are not emotional support children for this woman. 99% of the problems I see on Reddit regarding blended families happens when relationships are forced. She wanted the title of mum so bad that she alienated the kids herself. Titles are earned, not demanded. 100%. Yeah, you gave your kids the choice and they didn't want to go. And the comment below that, trying to lure your children away from you on Mother's Day is nothing but a failed power move on her part. I'm so glad that your kids didn't fall for it. Yeah, 100%, and OP gave the kids the choice. Yeah, not the a-hole OP. The next one, am I the a-hole for blowing up at my sister for naming her daughter after a fungal infection? So my 20 male sister, 27 female, and her husband had been struggling a lot with baby names. She was determined to find the single perfect name. Even by the time of her baby shower, nearly 5 weeks before the due date, she didn't seem any closer to picking something out than when she was at the start of her pregnancy. Anyway, I knew that she was struggling, so in addition to the $900 wooden crib on her list that I got for her, I gave her a list of obviously joke baby names. We have a really close relationship, and it was in line with both of our senses of humor. She's a nurse and I'm a biology student, so all the names were medications or infections or unpleasant animals. They all sound like lovely girls' names out of context. Some of them were a little bit obscure, sure, but I included some obvious ones like Viagra and hernia for good measure. 2 weeks ago, she told me that she and her husband had finally settled on a name. Malacesia. The baby's name is Malacesia. One of the names on my joke list. Outside of the immediate issues, nearly impossible to pronounce on the first try, the R smack dab in the middle of it, the first syllable being mal, literally meaning bad or evil. It's also the name of a very common fungal infection, one that my sister and I are both genetically predisposed to, one that we've both had multiple times during our lives. Her daughter will almost certainly catch it at some time. I pointed it out to her and she said that yeah, she knew what it meant, and she knew that my list was intended to be a joke, but she really liked the way that it sounded. I don't think the husband knows what it means. I think he'd reject it if he did. She says that it's so obscure that nobody's ever going to think twice about it, except, you know, when little baby Malacesia turns 14, finds a weird spot on her neck and then goes on her phone to Google what it is. I told her that the name was completely unacceptable, and I was shocked that she chose it. I even suggested similar names, like Mallory, Azalea, or Anastasia, that would be more acceptable, but she wouldn't hear it. She said that since I'm not one of the parents, I've got no business telling her what she can name her child, and that I'm stepping way out of line. I think it's pregnancy hormones, and she'll regret the decision very soon after her daughter's born. And she's being serious? Are you sure she's not joking? This comment says, dude, she's pranking you. Yeah, do you reckon, or do you feel like she's being serious? I can't tell, but I'm assuming that OP will find out. This comment says, not the gay hole, tell the husband what it means. He'll shut it down. And the comment below that says, is it possible that your sister is trolling you back about the baby name? Most of my friends and family have had no idea what baby name they liked until the baby arrived, and some still struggled. There's no rule that you have to know what name you'll choose to name the baby prior to arrival. Hell, my parents named my sister, forgot what they named her when filling out paperwork, and then named her something different. Yeah, is she playing a prank on OP? I guess OP's gonna find out soon. But if she's not playing a joke, no, not the a-hole. That's not a good name. It's like Maleficent. Yeah, I'm assuming that she is messing with OP. Hopefully. Yeah, I hope so. The next one. Am I the gay hole for moving out of my dad's house because his girlfriend and her kid were moving in? I, 18 male but will be 19 in a month, moved out of my dad's house last month. It wasn't planned long term. It actually went against what my dad and I had talked about, but I moved out because he was moving in his girlfriend and her kid, and I don't like his girlfriend. Dad raised me on his own. He and my mum broke up when I was 5 months old and she stopped being in my life. My dad met his girlfriend when I was 6. They dated on and off for the last 12 years. They never lived together before, and they were never together for this long either, 2 years. But over the years she pissed me off a lot and made me wish that he'd settled down with someone else. This isn't a thing of me not liking anybody Dad dated. He was with someone else when I was 4 14 and I liked her a lot. It's more about this specific girlfriend than me not wanting dad with anybody. I first started to dislike her when I was 8 and she told me that she was going to take me to see my mum. She got all riled up because dad and I had seen mum a few days before, and my mum went up to my dad to yell at him for trying to get child support out of her. She completely ignored me and told dad that she didn't want her past mistakes to ruin her future. I was saying how I never wanted to see mum again, and so dad's girlfriend decided that she'd take me to see her. My dad shut that down hard. His girlfriend said that my mum needed to confront that I'm her kid. It felt like dad's girlfriend didn't care what I wanted, or how that would hurt me, and even though she did later apologize, it felt forced and like she was like, fine, whatever, sorry. But it made me see her differently. She and dad broke up not too long after that. She still brings up mum more than I'd like when she and my dad are together. I resist the urge to tell her to shut the hell up. Half the time I expect her to go behind our backs and try to get mum involved. When I was like 10 or 11, she got kicked out of the coding classes that I was taking and almost had the cops called. Dad had asked her to pick me up. She needed her ID, but she forgot it, so the class organizer couldn't let her take me. And instead of calling dad, she started a fight about it and started screaming for me to grab my stuff and go. The organizer said even if I wanted to go with her, she needed ID before she could let me go. They were just about to call the cops when she said that she'd called dad, and then he picked me up instead. It was late when he came and she was angry for days after that. I was so embarrassed, and some of the kids made fun of me when it was going down. She didn't care, and I remember her rolling her eyes when I said that she was the reason the kids were making fun of me. Something else that really pissed me off about her, and this is a reoccurring issue, is when she sees me on the phone, she snaps her fingers in my face. This would happen when I was on the phone when she came over. I was normally talking to family, either my great-grandma who was in a nursing home, she died 8 months ago, or out-of-state family. She expected me to end any call and pay attention to her when she came over. Oh my god. That is the most a-hole thing to do. Like, hey, get off the call and talk to me. Oh, the audacity. She didn't like that I'd be busy talking to family. If dad was there, he'd say to leave me, but she did it so many times. She'd even come and track me down in my bedroom and start snapping her fingers in my face. There is other stuff that's built up over the time, and most of it's more like petty stuff, but I really don't like her anymore. The last time that my dad and her broke up, she got pregnant with another guy's kid. When her and dad got back together, they decided to try and make it work. I was hoping they wouldn't. I know that might sound bad, but I'd take so many other people over her. But dad loves her, and when he told me that they were moving in last month, I told him that I'd find somewhere else to live. Dad told me that I didn't have to, and in the 2 days it took me to figure something out, he tried to stop me. He told me that I didn't need to and I wasn't going to be kicked out. They were just coming to live with us. I told him that I couldn't live with his girlfriend, and I wasn't going to force myself to. I told him that I wasn't going to stop him from moving them in, but I was going to move myself out before that happened. Things between me and dad have been tense since I moved out. His girlfriend's offended that I moved out because they were moving in, and she tried to give me a piece of her mind or whatever. I ignored her. She told me that I better be there nearly every day to make up for it, but I haven't been to dad's house since. She told me that I better be there nearly every day to make up for it. Make up for what? Not wanting to be around you because you're awful? I made plans to do stuff with him, but any family dinner invites, I don't accept. Dad told me that it was extreme to move out when I'd always planned to stay at least another couple of years. I told him that I could not accept her being a part of my household, and it was better that I moved out when I did than disrespecting her like I knew I would. His girlfriend accused me of trying to break them up and ruin their relationship. She even called me moving out a stunt. I ended up blocking her number, but I hear her when dad calls me. She's apparently going to blame me if her kids' feelings get hurt in all of this. Am I the a-hole? No. She is so unbelievably immature. Like, you're blaming OP because of this? Grow up. Yeah, the top comment, not the a-hole. You sound like a very intelligent young man. You know your feelings and your boundaries. You also know yourself well enough to know that there will not be respect given when it's not being received. Good for you, you're doing the right thing. Yeah, how did she not once stop and think, oh, maybe this is my fault because I've been an a-hole to him? But no, blames you. Oh, you better come over every day to make up for it. To make up for what? And OP's dad choosing her over OP. That sucks. Yeah, and this comment, the snapping in your face thing? Hell no, that'd piss me off too. That's crazy rude. And that's one of many other issues here, but it caught my attention because wow, I think almost no one can be an a-hole for moving out of their parents' house. That's a life milestone generally done because it's what's needed for independence, not something wrong or bad or malicious. My only concern would be if that was feasible for you, but it seems like you've been able to do it. But no, not the a-hole in any anyway. The girlfriend is, and so's your dad for letting her treat you that way. And OP said, my grandparents let me move in with them. Without that, I'd probably be in a not so great situation. But I think even a bad situation outside of dad's house would be better than living with her. Yeah, not the a-hole OP. The next one, am I the a-hole for refusing to do my neighbor's shopping after helping her once, even though she could order on the internet? A couple of weeks ago, my elderly neighbor, let's call her Jean, knocked on my door and asked if I was popping to Tesco anytime soon. I was, so I said I didn't mind grabbing her a few bits. She gave me a short list, milk and bread and rich tea, biscuits, that sort of thing, and I dropped it off later that day. No drama. She gave me the money, I said it was no bother. But then 2 days after, she knocked again. Another list. Then again and again. Now I'm getting shopping lists handed to me 3 times a week with specific brands and odd requests. Once she even asked if I could swing by Boots to collect her prescription. I finally told her as politely as I could that I can't keep doing it. I work full time, I've got kids, and honestly, I'm shattered most days. I also pointed out that she can order groceries on the internet. Tesco, Sainsbury's, and even Iceland do deliveries. And there's a pharmacy down the road that offers free prescription delivery. She's mobile enough to go into her garden and down the street, so it's not like she's housebound. She got really cold and muttered something about how she thought I was better than the rest of them. Wow, so ungrateful. Since then, a couple of neighbors have been a bit frosty, so I'm wondering if she had a moan. I do feel a bit guilty, but am I the gay half for not wanting to be a full-time errand runner when there are perfectly reasonable alternatives? No, not the a-hole, and she must have been lying to the neighbors because you didn't do anything wrong. Like what, the neighbors are annoyed at you too? The top comment says, not the a-hole, why pay for online delivery when you can guilt your neighbor into delivery for free? I'm sure those neighbors that seem frosty can put that same energy into running errands for your neighbor. If someone says something directly to you, ask when they last got her groceries. It's okay to set a boundary. If you have a regular shopping schedule, you could let her list pile up until you were going to go to the store anyway, but I'm not sure I'd offer that if a no results in rallying people against you. Yeah, the fact that she got annoyed about it and wasn't grateful, like, oh, I'm so sorry that I very reasonably don't want to keep doing this. Yeah, so sorry. This comment says, the neighbors are frosty because now Jean's back to fishing around for somebody to do her shopping again. While OP was doing it, they had some peace. Yeah, maybe. Like, oh great, Jean's back again. Yeah, like this comment says, not the a-hole. Once in a while's fine. 3 times a week is taking the piss. And she sounds like she's burnt through several neighbors and friends, judging by her the rest of them comment. And she hasn't learnt her lesson. Yeah, that's such a good point. She said, oh, I thought you weren't like the rest of them. Yeah, and also this comment, not the a-hole, she thought you were better than the rest of them because you put up with her nonsense longer than anybody else did. The rest of them are all the other people she's annoyed. Helping out occasionally, sure. Getting a few things for her when you're already doing your shop, great. Sending you on errands and expecting you to go out of your way just for her, and then getting upset when you put a stop to it. Great way to lose all the help. Yeah, like, oh, so you don't appreciate everything I've already done for you? Well, yeah, I'm not helping you again. The next one. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give up my life insurance payout and asking my ex's family to refinance the car that he left me? So my ex passed away recently in a work-related accident. It's sad, of course. I've got a lot of mixed emotions about it. But the truth is, we hadn't been together in over a year when it happened. We were together for 5 years and we broke up because he cheated on me and got somebody else pregnant. That breakup wrecked me. It took me a long time to recover, and I haven't seen him since. After the breakup, I went no contact. I've spent the past year healing and learning to be happy again and moving on. I didn't go to the funeral. I didn't want to see the baby mama or his family. And while I'm not happy that he's gone, I can't say that I'm devastated. I grieved this person when I left the relationship. Now here's where things get complicated. 6 months after our breakup and after the baby was born, he took out a life insurance policy. In it, he named me as the 50% beneficiary. His mum and the baby mama each got 25%. I didn't know this until the insurance company called me. I assumed that it was some paperwork left over from when we were together, but no, this was a new policy, dated well after the breakup. That means it was his decision. And at the same time, there's a car. He financed it while we were still together, but it's under my name and credit. I begged him for over a year to refinance it, to the the point, the only reason I ever contacted him was about the refinancing of that car. He never refinanced it, and I doubt he was ever going to. Now that he's gone, it's still tied to me. The car's sitting in my garage and his family has reached out saying that the baby mama needs it for work. I told them, fine, you can have it as soon as it's refinanced and no longer on my credit. I'll gladly sign whatever paper they need. But I'm not going to risk my credit on people that I don't trust to make payments. And now they're demanding that I give up the life insurance payout too. That I should do the right thing and give it to his mum or the baby mama. But here's the thing, I didn't ask for any of this. I didn't ask to be put on that policy. He made that choice after everything that happened between us. Honestly, I feel like I earned that money. I spent 5 years with that man. 5 years dealing with the stress, the gaslighting, the emotional pain, the betrayal. I loved him deeply and I lost so much trying to make that relationship work. I stayed with him until I found out his baby mama was pregnant because he was actively hiding it from me at the time. I was with him during the worst parts of his life. If anything, this money feels like the only thing I ever got back from all that bullshit. And he chose to leave it to me, probably because deep down he knew how badly he treated me. The top comment says, not the a-hole. It's your money and your car. I'd block them all and move on. And the comment below that, not the a-hole, he left that money to you, not to anybody else. It's yours. As for the car, given the situation, I'd just sell it and move on with my life. Block his mother and his baby mama. At this point, they're nothing to you and are owed nothing. Leave them in your rearview mirror. And the comment below that says, how is a car under your name but also somehow not your car? OP said, my credit was better than him, so we financed it under my name and credit. And the response, then it's literally your car. I don't understand why you'd be expected to give it up. Same for the life insurance policy. The history of the situation is irrelevant. All of that shit's in your name. The next one, am I the a-hole for reminding my mum's best friend of how awful her daughter is when she criticized me? My family and I celebrated Mother's Day last night by hosting a dinner. My mum's best friend Holly joined us because they've been close since childhood. My uncle, aunt, their partners, my cousins and my grandparents were there, so it was around 16 of us, and the older generations know Holly very well. I'm 30 and I still live with my parents. Holly began to ask when I plan to move out, and I explained my position and the expected timeline. She laughed, said that her daughter Sophie purchased a house at 18 while studying, and bragged about Sophie's prestigious career. Keep in mind, her daughter's in her late 40s, and the housing market is very different. She told my mum that she'd be embarrassed if her kids were still at home, and implied that I was a failure and that my job's not that good. Now, Sophie's in jail for a pretty hideous crime. There's been a lot on our local news about the case, and she's currently working towards a shortened sentence and placing blame on the victim of her crime, very publicly with her lawyer. Yeah, she had an impressive career up until this happened, but there's no way that she'll be rehired after she's released. I looked Holly in the eye and said that while I might not be a fancy career role like her daughter, and I might still live with my parents, at least I didn't commit that crime. I told her I think I know who my mum would prefer to have living under her roof. Holly ended up leaving not too long after, and it was obvious that she was in tears. My grandparents are furious that I had the audacity to say this, and my uncle has sent a few strongly worded messages. My aunt and my mum are keeping silent, but my cousins are firmly on my side. They're all closer to my age and they can empathise with my situation living at home. Once again, a not the a-hole consensus. The top comment says, not the a-hole, it sounds like Holly is living in an Instagram version of her real life. You're an adult, and even if you still live at home, you are Holly's equal. If she chooses to belittle you, you're entitled to stick up for yourself. Sounds like her daughter isn't the price that Holly paints her to be. This comment says, not the a-hole. Holly came for you unprovoked, tried to humiliate you in front of your entire family. You just reminded her that having a fancy career and buying a house young doesn't mean that much when you're also capable of committing serious crimes. Yeah, it was a low blow, but she threw the first punch. Maybe next time she'll think twice before tearing somebody down to feel better about herself. Yeah. The comment below that says, not the a-hole. How can she sit there saying that she'd be embarrassed if her kids were still at home when she's got one that's in prison? I'd rather live at home than in prison. Good on you for sticking up for yourself. And shame on your grandparents and your uncle for reacting the way that they have. What were you supposed to do? Roll over and let her speak to you like that? Out of curiosity, what was the crime? And OP said, I'd love to air the dirty laundry, but it's pretty specific. I'll mention that the victim is deceased. If I got into it any further, it'd be too identifying. But trust me, the details are horrendous. That is so wild. But yeah, like the comment below that says, would you allow any other adult to speak to you that way? Not the a-hole. Okay, we need to read something wholesome. That was such a fun episode, and I hope you guys had a great time today. Let me know down below in the comments if you did. I've got 2 wholesome memes to read. My next door neighbor's guinea pig comes over sometimes asking for carrots. That's so unbelievably cute. And not gonna lie, looks a little bit like Nez. I'm seeing a lot of similarities here. That's so cute. And this one too. 5-year-old me looking at a rainbow, 25-year-old me looking at a rainbow. Yeah, like, oh my god, so beautiful. How is this a natural occurrence? How can I see this right now? So beautiful. Thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you had a great time today. The comment of the day goes to Heath Paddles Too Far. I love that Chin's looking at nothing. What a silly kitty. Yeah, 100%. He's such a silly kitty. I love him so much. He's such good company. Even when he's seeing ghosts and demons in the room, which is definitely pretty terrifying. Okay, I'm out of here. Thank you for the support, everybody. Make sure you have a beautiful, amazing rest of your day. And you know what I'm about to say because I say it every other day. Bye!